start? What's the best rod? What's the best reel? What's the best fishing setup for a beginner? Whether you're a first-time angler or you're just buying something for that first-time angler in your life, where do you start? Spinning, casting, spinning, 7 foot, 8 foot. Chances are you're gonna end up in a store just like this with all the varieties and options that they got. What do you buy? What's the right rod? What's the right reel? What's the right price range? Should you be spending hundreds? Or should you go for that low budget deal? What's the difference between a spinning rod and a casting rod? What's the difference between a spin caster and a spinning reel? There's way too many options. It can get incredibly overwhelming, but that's what I'm here for, folks. This one's geared to the beginners. I'm gonna slow this down, I'm gonna simplify it, and we're gonna break it down to find out what the best rod and reel is for you. The next episode of KastKing's Korner. No doubt, the world of fishing is vast. There are so many options, thousands of options out there, and it can get confusing. But when you're just a beginner and you're just first getting into this sport, where do you start? You don't even know what questions to ask yet, and you're getting thrown 1,000 different options in your face. Don't worry, guys, I got your back. Today on Captain's Corner, we're going to go over what is the best rod, reel, and fishing setup for a beginner. When you're a beginner just getting into the sport, it can be incredibly intimidating. I'm going to try to break it all down very simply for you guys, so at least you're armed with the knowledge when you do go out to go get your first setup of knowing what you're talking about and what you're looking for. Today, we're going to be focusing mostly on freshwater angling and where to start with your first freshwater setup. But most of us are going to start very simple, very basic. You're going to start on a dock or a shoreline somewhere. Whether you're just looking at getting into the sport or you got a young angler in your life that you want to introduce into the sport, that first fishing setup is a very important step in any angler's life. Fishing is fun and you want to keep it fun. You want to keep it as simple as possible when you first get out there. You want to have a good, reliable setup that's not going to cause you a ton of headaches, not going to cause you a ton of problems, and you're not going to have to really work hard to get it to work properly. Something simple but effective is where you want to be looking at. You want that young or new angler to have as much fun as possible out there, so they want to keep going and get better and learn more each time. When you're talking about that first setup, you want to have a setup that not only gets the job done, allows them to have fun, but it'll help them build confidence, which is key in angling. Having too basic of a setup and too flimsy and too cheap, you're not going to have very much confidence in it, and you're not going to be able to move forward with it. You don't want to go with something super simple, like a kiddie pole. And yeah, they'll catch fish. I make videos all the time catching fish on the craziest little contraptions like this. They will work, but you're not going to advance as an angler ever if this is what you're using. If you got a young angler under 5, sure, go ahead, because this is just going to get them interested in the sport. They're going to have a ton of fun. They're going to catch their first fish, and that's great. But when you're talking about buying them their first reel setup, don't start with a kiddie pole. Start with a reel pole, something that they can start to build that confidence with and want to learn how to advance. That's what the sport is all about. The first thing I recommend looking at is the reels. And we're going to break it down real simply. There's 3 basic styles of reels. You got your push button or spin cast reels. That's where there's a button on the back. That's what releases the line. That's how you cast it. Everything else is built in internally inside of this reel. Very easy, very user-friendly, very basic. Not going to learn a lot from using these. There's a reason why they put these on kiddie poles. Second is a spinning reel. Probably the most iconic and most common fishing reel out there is your spinning reel here. Very simple, very versatile, easy to use, and it can cover a huge variety of fishing out there. There are just certain techniques that work better on spinning equipment than anything else out there. And the third, of course, is your casting reels. Your more conventional style, of course, your more low-profile bass reels, known as baitcasters. These are your 3 basic styles of reels, from beginner to intermediate to expert. That's your very, very beginner reel. That's why it's on kiddie pools. That is your intermediate, your moderate, your medium, and it'll cover most of the fishing that you're going to experience. And your expert reels. Of course, they do require an extra level of skill, a lot more attention. They can be a lot more difficult to use, of course. Obviously, an expert level like your baitcaster reels, that will frustrate the crap out of you. This is not the level to start at. This is the level to work up to. This is the level some people start, but you don't learn very much from it. Where you want to start is right here. That's right, spinning reel. For your first reel and your first setup, the most versatile and easiest to use is a spinning reel. Spinning reels are going to come in series of 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, or size 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. Once you get up to 4,000, 5,000 and beyond, that's a big reel. That's a big heavy reel. It's got a lot of line capacity on it, and that's for some pretty darn big fish. For most of what you guys are going to be starting with, whether you're starting off a dock or a shore, starting with panfish or even bass, 1,000, 2,000, or 3,000. Stick in that size of it. It's not too big, it's not too bulky, it's not too heavy. It's going to handle just about anything that you get it into, but it's still small enough, it's not overpowering about whatsoever. Spinning reels are going to come in all sorts of different price points. They're going to range from $15 to $400. You need a $400 reel? Absolutely not. But I'd stay away from that $15 reel. This may be your first setup, but it's really going to help your confidence if it lasts a lot longer than a few months. When you're looking at a spinning reel, you want to look for certain things. First thing, grab the reel, spin it. See how smooth it is, see how easy it is to use, feel how heavy it is, and make sure that it's got a decent balance to it. It's not all wobbly and clunky. Feel the components on it. Kind of wiggle them and jiggle them. If things are popping and wiggling all over the place, then go ahead and skip up to the next version of it. If they're not tight now, a couple months from now and hundreds of fish later, they're going to be even worse, and you're going to cause yourself headaches down the road. You want something that you can learn from and grow with. Like this one, KastKing Sharky 3. This is less than $50. This has the drag systems, the ball bearings, the smoothness, the power, the speed, and to be able to handle just about everything. This is one of my reels that I use every single day. So don't go the cheapest of the road. That's just not going to work. Make sure it's actually got a good feel, a good quality to it, like the KastKing Sharky 3. Everything is nice and tight, everything is smooth, and it's under $50. That is a great reel for that price. So now we got our reel picked out. We figured out what our first reel is going to be. It's going to be a spinning reel. It's going to be a 2,000 or 3,000 series reel. Now we got to go and find a rod. The right rod to match up to the spinning reel. And there are differences. Not every rod is going to work on a spinning reel. When you're looking at a rod and you see this on the bottom, this is called a trigger. That's a casting rod. A casting rod is always going to have a trigger on the bottom of it because a casting reel sits on top of the rod. A spinning reel hangs down below the rod. A rod for a spinning reel, or a spinning rod, has no trigger on it whatsoever. The handle of your spinning reel is what acts as the trigger. That's where you wrap your fingers around. The second and most important thing you're going to see is this right here. That first eye, the first guide or eye. It's big and it's long. All spinning rods are going to have a long, big, very big guide on the first one. Even on the smallest rods, they're going to have a bigger one here. All casting rods, where the reel sits on top, are going to have a much smaller guide. Just a tiny little guide. Because the reel itself sits so much closer to the blank of the rod, it doesn't need that. Where a spinning reel, it hangs farther down, the line coming much farther off the rod. You need a guide that sits and hangs down a little farther to be able to control that. Again, to make sure it's a spinning rod, there is no trigger on it. It's just got the handle. The very first guide or eye is big and long, and it gets a little bit smaller as you go down the rod. So now we know we got our spinning reel, and what we're looking for in a spinning rod. But how about the size of the rod? They're going to come in a whole bunch of different axes, lengths, and powers. It's actually quite easy. Every rod that you're going to find, somewhere on that rod, generally right in front of the handle here, or maybe right behind it on this blank, is going to have a whole bunch of information written on that blank, just like that. Okay. This is all the information you need to know. It's generally going to tell you the length of the rod, the action of the rod, and the power of the rod. This is an 8'6" rod. The action is fast, and the power is MH or medium heavy. Now, when you're talking about power, what you're talking about is the strength of the rod. How much strength is in that rod? And that'll generally go from ultra light, light, medium, medium heavy, heavy, and extra heavy, and so on and so forth. This particular rod is a medium heavy, so it's quite strong. It's way up there on the strength ratio. Next, you're going to talk about the action. And the action on this one is fast. What the action is referring to, not so much the strength and the base of the rod, but what the tip of the rod is going to have as far as power. A fast action is mostly just the end of the tip here. So when you bend that rod, you'll see probably just the first quarter of the rod or so that bends. And if it snaps back really quick, that's a fast action. A moderate action is the next one that you would see. And that would be where the rod would start bending a little bit farther down, or halfway to 3/4 of the way down. The rod doesn't snap back quite as fast. And every rod is also going to have the parameters on it here. It's going to have the line and lure weights. It's telling you right on the rod what line you should use from this pound to this pound. Every rod is going to have those simple sets of numbers. It's going to usually have the length of the rod, the action of the rod, the power of the rod, and the parameters of line and lure weights. For my recommendation for first setup is going somewhere right in the middle. Go in the middle so you're going to cover most of the bases. You're going to be light, just light enough to cover those little fish, and just heavy enough to cover those big fish. If you go right in the middle with a 2000 or 3000 series reel, you're going to want to go right in the middle with about a medium power rod. As far as the length of the rod, that's more of a comfort thing than anything at this point. A young angler, a smaller angler, somebody that hasn't quite grown yet, in about the 6 foot length is probably going to be best. It's not going to be too over cumbersome, but it's still got enough length to be able to cast a good distances. If you're an adult size or it's a bigger angler, you want to go with something in at least a 6'6" to even 7 foot. That's going to cover a huge variety of bases, a whole bunch of different techniques, and it's got that length to be able to get you much more distance on your casts. For your 2000 to 3000 series reel, you're looking at a medium to medium heavy action rod that's going to cover just about everything, anywhere from 6 foot to 7 foot. In that range, you should cover all those bases, and it's going to be enough for you to learn with, to grow with, and build confidence in. If you still want to make things as simple as possible, you came to this video so I can tell you exactly what to go out and buy yourself. Here it is. The perfect beginner outfit that has plenty of room for you to grow and learn and build confidence with a KastKing Sharky 2 or Sharky 3 spinning reel in a 2000 series. The Sharky 2, it comes in at less than $40 for that reel alone. A little bit more and you can go to the Sharky 3. Either one of these reels will compete at the highest level for that price range. And couple it up with the KastKing G2. Couple it up with the 7 foot 2-piece rod. It's easier for travel and storage, but the unique thing about this G2 is it comes with 2 ends. This is a 7 foot rod. It's a medium or a medium light tip on it. Best of both worlds in one rod. You can put the medium light end on it for those days when you're fishing for a little more finesse presentation or a little smaller fish. You want to get out there and you're going to work for some bigger bass today, working some heavier lures, go ahead, throw the medium end on it. KastKing G2, a fantastic option for any angler at any level, but when you're just getting into the game and you're still learning, you're still building that confidence, how about 2 for 1, baby? Get yourself a KastKing Sharky 2 or Sharky 3 in a 2000 series and check out the G2. 2-piece, 2-tip, they come in at around $59. For less than $100, you're talking an amazing combo here that will cover every basis that you can throw at it, and it gives you plenty of room to learn, to grow, and to build confidence in your fishing game. That's it, guys. It's just that simple. Breaking it down and simplifying it down to one combination that I personally believe is the best suited setup for any beginner. Make sure you think about your future in fishing when you go out to buy your first setup. Leave room to learn, leave room to grow, and leave room to build confidence so one day you can excel and move up in the ranks to the next level. And I'll be there with plenty of help of tips, tricks at that level too. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this, and I really hope you learned a little something. If you did, make sure you smash the heck out of that like button. And leave a comment for us on anything else you'd like to see us film. We'll do our very best to make a video on each and every one of those. Most importantly, subscribe to that channel and stay tuned to catch the very next episode of Captain's Corner. I'll see you there. One last time from beautiful North Florida, I'm Captain Mikey on behalf of KastKing, signing out. The future is bright. You keep those lines tight.